So you've been talking about hip hop and all your things that you think is the best, but in terms of who you believe is your favorite, talk to some about your favorite musicians and why.
So my favorite musician ever is Mac Miller, like not just rapper, musician. And I got introduced to him when I was like 11, and it was my cousin who was a big Mac Miller fan at the time, obviously a bit older than me, and going back to kind of what I was saying, like looking up to him as like a role model. So it was at that early age of like manhood when you're trying to discover who you are or whatever, kind of create like an identity. So like part of that was trying to emulate my cousin, but then also I genuinely just also really enjoyed the music, and I think his growth as a musician, and he is a musician because he plays instruments, like he can produce as well, like his ear for music, and also his understanding of music and his like knowledge of music was insane. But like, hearing his growth, and I'm lucky that I was a fan while he was alive, because a lot of people only started like listening to him after he died and are huge fans and regret not being there when he was alive. So I'm lucky that I was in there, kind of in that fan base, and I saw him live as well before he died. So like I'm grateful that I had that opportunity to do that. But just if you listen to his first album and all the way through to his last, like the growth as each album goes on is just crazy. And he just went, and it's because he like, oh my god. Oh my god.
It's hard enough of your Mac Miller talk, isn't it?
Yeah.
What was his first album and what was it called? What was the themes? What did you like about it?
Well, my first album that I listened to, or his first.
Oh, his
well,
album.
both. I mean,
about Mac Miller?
so he was really, so firstly, you have to say that he's a white rapper. He's a Jewish rapper as well. So already he's at like a disadvantage in the sense that people wouldn't take him seriously that much. When he was younger, he was very much party, like it's called like frat rap, like his type of rap at that point. And when I was like 11, I was loving that. I'm like, yeah, that's it. But anyway, like his first, he did mixtapes for a while, and then his first like proper album was Kids, which is like, it was and kind of is one of my favourite of his, but it's not necessarily something that I listen to all the time now that I'm a bit older. But that album was very much just about a kid that just wanted to have fun and be outside with his mates and just party and just chill, and like his whole thing was chilling. Like he was also obviously very driven, and he was like you didn't know it necessarily then, but he was a musical genius. He was and is a musical genius. What is that? What's all that shit?
Trees, it's the stuff from the trees. It's fine. We'll just keep on going. Like none of this.
Yeah. But yeah, as he got older and obviously got kind of more money, more kind of fame and stuff, he struggled. He kind of got into the kind of drug culture of music, of rap music particularly, and it kind of led him down a bit of a darker path, but he was always aware of it and conscious about it, and it was something that he spoke about. So it's yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just...
What was your favourite Mac Miller album then? What was the one that, and you know you always listen to since kids, what was the one that you think encapsulates him the most?
Either Faces, which is his like most fucked album because it was when he was at his like druggiest, or Good AM, which is actually after he went sober for a bit. So it's actually funny how like you get those two perspectives of him, and they're only like a year or two apart. But he did Faces, and it was definitely his most kind of experimental album. It was very different. It was his first. Well, the album before that was his first kind of venture away from, well actually no, before that even, it's crazy, like he moved away from his, okay right, I'll give you a full Mac Miller education course here. So he had Kids, and it was just like, it was a mixtape, so it was just like free, like no label behind it or anything. Then he had Blue Slide Park, which is his kind of debut album, and it didn't do very well, like critics didn't like love it, didn't get the best reception, but there's some songs in there which are good songs, and it was kind of still in that frat rap era. Then after that, he did Macadelic, which was his first. You could hear the drug influences. Like he first kind of started with like psychedelics and stuff, trying to like testing that kind of stuff out, and you could hear it in the music. But he was still the same throughout all of it, the same guy ultimately. But then the next album, Watching Movies with the Sound Off, was like, that was like, I think his first album where people like really took him seriously as a rapper. And Faces came after that, so like he was well into his drugs at this point, but Faces was like the most he was doing, and like he recorded it I think in like 2 weeks in his studio in his house that he moved out from home and moved into like LA or something, or Hollywood, I don't know where, and he had a studio that he called the Sanctuary, and it had all of his mates in that kind of rap crowd would come over, and they just he'd like sleep there and he'd just record all the time. And he literally, and he says it in his songs, like his last song on the album is Grand Finale, because he genuinely thought he was going to die after that, because he just put everything into it and was doing so many drugs. But like, he wasn't doing drugs because he was just like these, you know, like this, like, you know, like that SoundCloud era of rap, like a few years ago, how like they all just did drugs, they thought it was cool or whatever. Like he like had demons that he like struggled with, and this was kind of his coping mechanism, but it kind of made things worse, as it does for most people who are doing drugs. So it's just in, like, if you hear Faces, you can hear the drugs in the music, you can hear it, but the music's also just incredible, and that's when he first really started to produce as well. And like the beat, like the production on that album, I think is amazing. But then if you listen to Good AM, which was the next year after he nearly basically died and went sober for a bit, was his first album where you could hear that he felt it was more positive. He felt like he was going to live again, and yeah, it's deep, because as the albums went on, like he got better and better musically, to the point where like his last album before he died was probably his best, and then even the one that came out after that was very different, but like it showed the growth like as a musician. Like the guy was insane, and it's just gutting that he's not around anymore to like hear more of his stuff as well, because his music was just the best.
What's feeling like your favorite rapper, like your favorite, like hearing him?
I was a mess.
And then you just see him just get like. And also like how he died, drugs also makes you think like, fuck, man. Like,
yeah, but he was like, he was always troubled. I guess when I was listening to him younger, I wasn't really aware of the drug side and how the issues he had mentally. But as I got older, I was. But it really felt like he was coming out of that and was on a positive trajectory. And he was, like, you know, he overdosed, but it was because it was laced with fentanyl, which like the coke he got or something. So like it wasn't like he didn't try and kill himself. It was an accidental overdose. So it's just like. Yeah, he shouldn't have died. He didn't want to die. You could hear in his music he didn't want to die. Whereas in his earlier stuff he kind of did a little bit. So yeah, it was tough for me as well. I was 18. I was just about to go off to uni. Grew up with like all my school like life. I had Matt Miller there, and yeah, there was a lot of similarities I saw with me and him as well. To be honest, like not entirely, obviously. Not in the end, but like there was like, you know, he was a Jewish guy. I'm a Jewish guy. Both loved like the rap culture and the rap scene, had like quite an extensive knowledge about it. Like, this sounds stupid, but he called his grandpa Pop Pop, I called my grandpa Pop Pop. I was like, this guy's me, like another world. But no, like it was hard. Like when he died, for me, like I struggled. Like, just like, it sounds weird as well, because I was never one of, like, I didn't feel anyway growing up like I was one of those guys that had like a celebrity. Like, it felt like a brother had died, which is crazy, because like the guy just he doesn't know me. I never met him. Because you listen to him, and I almost used him as like as a role model at times. Like, I knew obviously that's not the best role model for a kid necessarily, with like the drugs and stuff, but he was a great guy. Like, anyone, like when he died, you saw the people, like every single person in music, not even just rap really, that had ever met him said that he was just like the best guy ever. Like, no matter what. Like, I saw a video recently of Kendrick who sent a video to like his memorial, like his like a celebration of life thing after he died, and Kendrick sent a video to be like played there. And he was just saying, like, no matter what he was going through, he never pushed that on other people. Like, he would just be positive and happy, and if he saw that you were sad, he'd just make you happy, like, regardless of how he was feeling. And it's just like a nice way to live, really, isn't it? Like, get help when you need it, but just like just try and stay positive. And he was just a great guy. Like, musically, just a genius, like actual genius.
I mean, it's fascinating too, because like. It's fascinating too, because you're right, I don't know much about Mac Miller, but I think one person I can relate to on that level is XXXTentacion. Like, I was like not massive fan of him, but like I listened to his songs.
We all were when he first came out. Like, it was yeah.
And then you see how it happened to him, and then he obviously he dies and gets killed, and then you listen to more of his music afterwards, and you start relating to these people. And it's so fascinating with hip hop too, because like, you're right, it's one of the most substantial kind of pieces of music, because these people are really speaking from their experience. And it's like, I think I've spoken about this too, it's almost like poetry, because like they have to, it's poetry, yeah. It's poetry from like, it's urban poetry, it's like from that kind of era, from that kind of environment, where it's like, because they have to put on this kind of bravado to kind of almost protect themselves, they kind of build that kind of confidence up.
It's like Tupac. Like, he ended up a gangster rapper, but he was a poet. Like, he is a poet. Like, he wasn't kind of about that life, but it became, being in the music scene made him into that, the whole East and West Coast beef, all of that stuff. So like, but yeah, ultimately rappers are poets. Like, they are poets, there's no debate about that. Even whatever form of rap they do, whether it be like trap or like melodic rap, or like, you know, like the kind of more chilled rap or gangster rap, whatever it is, they're all just poets. It's just different kind of like versions.
Different kind of skins, like different kind of masks that they put on to actually kind of express that kind of music, which I think I always relate to.
It's not a mask; it's their it's their actual reality.
Which is so crazy,
like,
right?
Gangster rappers like that, they're actually not all. Less so nowadays, but definitely,
because,
definitely back in like the late '90s, that was it. That was real, you know.
Because I'm pretty sure Drake is not walking around with a Draco, you know.
No,
Talking about he doesn't
no, he definitely doesn't do
He's
that.
too popular to be
Anyone who
doing.
doesn't do that is Drake. He definitely doesn't do that. He's sat somewhere getting a manicure in his mansion, like on a float in a pool somewhere, just chilling. He's not out
And
there.
then goes in the booth and talks about how he's gonna hunt you down and fucking kill you. Okay, but like, to button up on that, like, what do you think is the most, like, one thing you've learned about hip hop that you've applied to your life, even if consciously or unconsciously, just about how, you know, you've talked about a lot about how they kind of reveal themselves, how they kind of, like, you know, like they will talk about their life, and, you know, Mac Miller was also how he was for his whole life and his outlook on life. But yeah, what's something that hip hop as a genre has taught you about, you know, about maybe that culture, but just also just about how to live life?
It's such a hard question, that, but I think, like, well, I guess first thing I can say is it's definitely educated me on other people's lives, particularly like black culture and that kind of aspect of it, which I probably, well, I'm sure as I got older I would have found out one way or another about that type of stuff, but it definitely helped me at a young age be conscious of that. And then I, like, thinking back, I'd be like talking to my parents about it, and like so I do think like I maybe played a small role in sort of educating them on that type of stuff. Like, even nowadays, like, I kind of can talk to certain people and they don't know anything about like the Black Panthers and stuff like that, and there's like that, I think like rap has like inspired me to then go and consume other areas of like black culture, and it's not from like a place where it's like I want to be part of it. It's a place of wanting to absorb what's real, what's out there, real struggles that people go through, and understand it. And also, I also just fucking love rap music, just how it sounds as well, which is why it kind of goes hand in hand. Like, if I didn't enjoy the sound of it, I probably never would have got into it in the first place. But it's hard, it's affected my life in a million ways. I listen to all sorts of stuff, but like in general, every day it's rap music, and like different types of rap music, different eras of rap music, and it's I don't even know, it just is part of my life. It just is, you know. It's like it's never not gonna be. It might change and go to places where I'm not a big fan of what it is in like 10 years from now, but I'm always gonna love like the eras of rap I kind of discovered growing up as a teenager, that whether that be 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever it was. And there's always going to be people I like as whatever period we're in, but yeah, it is changing though. Like, it is changing.
It's not the same thing anymore. I mean, like, not everything changed, and that's part of life. But like, when you see how they, because like at the core of it, rap was just like, oh, we are a gangster system, we're gonna push back against it. But now it's become so commercialized.
Yeah, no, it's nothing to do with that anymore. Like, there will be people that will talk about that in their raps, but it's not that at all anymore. It's also it's a moneymaker. Like, I think it's the most popular genre of music now. So like, it's like it's just, also with TikTok, that's fucking ruined a lot of music in a lot of ways. People making music strictly for TikTok. It's just like, it's lost its substance a bit. But you get people, like, that's why I love like Cole. Like, obviously he's slightly not really this era, he's just around still in this era, but like him, Kendrick, Drake to an extent, not so much. But
I think he is.
Yeah,
I disagree, but I think he is. I think Drake represents what we all go through. That's why he's so popular.
Yeah.
He represents the daily life we go through.
No, you know, I was thinking about this earlier. I appreciate Drake a lot, and I know one day he's not going to be around, and people are going to be like, fucking hell, like, I can't believe we had that guy for that many years, like, just giving us music. I know, yeah, I don't say that for granted, but when it's a question about rappers, he's not in there. He's a musician, sort of, but like, he goes more in that conversation. It's enjoyable to listen to. It's enjoyable to listen to. Yeah, I can't fault that. It's enjoyable to listen to. It's just, I much prefer Cole, Kendrick, that type of thing.
It's fine. I mean, you can be wrong about your music choices.
It's fine. Like, you know, one day you'll look back and be like, I should have known. I should. Yeah, it'd be too late. But it'd be too late. But thank you for that. That's really cool. I think, hip hop is such a cool thing, such an important part of all our lives, and I think it's always cool to hear people's perspective and how they go into it, because it's such everyone you meet now is like, yeah, I listen to hip hop. It was like, okay, but how? And what is your version of hip hop is? So I think that was really cool. Another thing I wanted to talk about today, when something I've been thinking about lately, was like how, like, you spoke about uni, and just like how when you go to uni it's just fun, and you're just there just to have fun. And I was thinking a lot about that, and I was thinking a lot about how, like, a lot of the times we make choices, because I remember when I went to uni, I had to decide what I was going to do at uni at like 17 years old. Like, a lot of time we make choices when we're way too young to understand the consequences of those choices, and it feels like we just set our life on a path, and it's like that's just how our life goes, and like we never really, very much people don't want to change. So like when you get to a certain age, you just kind of like just sell into that lifestyle. What do you think about that? Like, has that been your experience where like you made like a lot of choices when you were young, and just like maybe like those choices were like things that you thought were going to do well for you? And so, for example, right, when I was a kid thought I would be something business related. You know, I thought I'd be just like out there open the business and stuff like that. And a part of me still wants to do that. But a lot of me as I got older realized, oh, actually I'm more of a poet, I'm more of a creativity. I actually like enjoying this creative stuff. And I was very lucky that I wasn't so gone in my mental about missed that, you know what I mean, that I just never did that, you know, and I had opportunity to go back to a master's and do that and actually focus on that. But a lot of people don't have the opportunity. What do you think about that? Just the idea of like, because of how we were brought up, we make a choice when we're young, and then as we get older, we kind of get stuck into that.